Can't Escape the Magic by Art Fox. Chapter 13. Cinna, who was coiled around Masrur's neck, jerked away at the sudden appearance of the thing. He tumbled down Masrur's back and landed on Noct with a squeak of shock. What in Merlin's beard is that? Cinna screeched from on top of Noct's crumpled form. Get off! Noct's muffled voice filtered from under him. This is Ugo! Aladdin smiled, oblivious to the other's panic. Then he looked at Cinna. Who's Merlin? The small purplet blushed and internally berated himself. Nobody knows who Merlin is. He doesn't exist there. Cinna thought, frustrated. He didn't notice Jafar's narrowed eyes and pale face, so he just answered Aladdin. He's an old story my mom used to tell me. Never mind that. What's an Ugo? Sinbad stared amazed at Ugo and cautiously approached the giant headless blue form. So, Aladdin, you're a Moggy too. Too? Mister, do you know other Moggy? Yeah, and this definitely proves that you are a Moggy. What's a Moggy? Cinna picked himself off of Noct awkwardly. A Moggy is an amazing being that can use the full power of the Ruh. Ruh! Noct cuddled beside Cinna as far from the blue giant as he could get. After a few more minutes of explanation, Cinna began to creep closer to the blue Ugo as Noct remained behind, now crouching behind Masrur's legs instead. Sinbad kept an indulgent eye on the curious boy poking and prodding at the djinn, who was gently nudging the purple bat back toward the older man. Hey, mister! Aladdin tilted his head. How do you know so much? Well, because I'm Sinbad. He smiled and pompously awaited for the shock and praise that usually followed his name. And indeed, Aladdin looked odd for a moment and then... Eh? Sinbad looked shocked and a bit panicked. You don't know about me? About the adventures of Sinbad? Aladdin's face was blank. Sinbad coughed and tried to impress the young blue-haired Moggy in a deep announcing tone. The man of countless legends and adventures, the conqueror of 7 dungeons, king of Sindria, leader of the 7 Seas Alliance. That's who Sinbad is. Sinbad looked proud and slightly desperate for Aladdin to acknowledge him. Sorry, mister, but, you sound really cool if that helps. Sinbad deflated. Yeah, thanks. He remained slumped over for a moment. Then the king took a deep breath and flashed a gleaming smile at Aladdin. Actually, Aladdin, I was wondering if you could help me with something. What is it, mister? Aladdin smiled. I would like your help in bringing the group of bandits called the Fog Troop to justice. Jafar gaped and began hissing at his king. Sinbad, he's just a kid. He's a Moggy, and you've already made a point of how difficult this will be. We could use the help. He's almost your son's age. Jafar hissed quietly out of earshot of said son. My son's not a Moggy, and we don't really have a choice but to ask, Sinbad whispered back. Masrur was quiet, but kept a small eye on Noct, who was sneakily approaching Ugo to poke the blue giant alongside Cinna, ignoring the adults. Cinna was pulling himself up onto Ugo's giant kneecap, and he looked preoccupied with his exploration, but the former wizard kept a wary ear on the adult conversation. He could tell something was brewing. Aladdin turned to the only girl in the group. Morgiana, what do you think? The redhead twisted to look out onto the canal of stationary ships. If the fog troop disappears, the ships will begin to sail again. I will fight. Okay then, Cinna, Noct, what do you think? Aladdin turned to the smaller boys on top of Ugo's legs. If Miss Morgiana and you decide to fight, we're right next to you, Aladdin. Cinna made a point of crossing his arms and boldly planting his feet on top of the giant. Noct nodded fervently next to him. Whoa, whoa, whoa! No! Jafar snapped and hoisted both Cinna and Noct into his arms. The slight man bumbled with the extra wriggling limbs of the two boys. Hey, put us down! Cinna whined. He was hoisted onto Jafar's thin shoulder, and his bony ribs were grinding painfully against the thin assassin. No way! I will not put 2 half-starved boys in this kind of danger! Jafar stumbled as Cinna kicked out and threw his balance off. Sinbad chuckled and grappled Cinna out of his advisor's grip. Put me down, old man! Cinna wiggled angrily as Sinbad scooped him in a classic cradle hold. He swung the little boy side to side like an overly large infant. A teasing grin mocked Cinna as he struggled to get loose from the firm hold. Calm down, Cinna. It's not that bad. You're too young to fight. The purple-haired king chuckled. Cinna was so cute with that little pout. No, I'm not. If Aladdin and Morgiana are fighting, so am I. Cinna grappled and scratched at his gentle captor. Easy now. I know you want to fight and that's alright, but you're just not ready yet. Sinbad ignored the red scratches and gave the small boy a gentle squeeze before he handed Cinna off to Mesrour. Is this some kind of a game to you? Let me down! And approached Morgiana. No, Morgiana. Sinbad put his hands confidently on the Fawnelese girl's shoulders, and she looked up at Sinbad eagerly. Go back to the hotel. Her face went slack. Huh? Even though you're a Fawnelese, I can't ask a girl to fight. The man gently pushed Morgiana toward the hotel. They got a few feet until Morgiana put her foot down. Literally. Her stamp crushed the stone beneath her in a shock of pressure. Sinbad squeaked as bubbles showered over him. I want to fight with you, Morgiana pouted. Yes, ma'am, he peeped.